Hello, 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 hello. This is HQ. Please come on and sit down. This is the HQ Reacts. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit that like button, okay? Please and thank you. Today, our story starts out with two OnlyFans women who ended up murking their partners. We have our first young lady, Courtney Chenney, who, as of right now, is still in jail because she murked her partner. And he got stabbed by her, and she went to jail. Let's see.
Father of a social media model arrested for the murder of her boyfriend took the stand in her defense today as she fights to bond out of jail. Courtney Chenney's attorneys are claiming self-defense, but the judge says this is not going to be an easy decision to make. Local 10's Ian Margall is live with what was decided in court today. Ian.
So this is what is called an Arthur hearing. Basically, they are deciding whether or not Chenney will get a bond, if she'll be able to pay an amount of money so she can wait for her trial at home instead of in jail. But today the judge said that decision will take some time.
They believe that she should not be given the privilege of a bond.
An attorney speaking for the family of Christian Obumseli, the man killed by his girlfriend, Courtney Chenney, when she stabbed him in the chest in April.
The cause of death was stab wound of right subclavian artery. The manner of death was homicide.
Chenney, an OnlyFans model who lived in a luxury building in Miami, is charged with second-degree murder, a charge that doesn't allow for the court to set a bond. But on Thursday, her attorneys were attempting to convince a judge that the state could not prove second-degree murder and have maintained from the beginning that this was all done in self-defense.
At best, this is a manslaughter case, which is a bondable offense, which is why this court should grant a bond.
It is clear from the evidence that she's not a harm to anybody in the community.
Chenney's father, Kim Chenney, took the stand in her defense, saying she would not be a flight risk, but the state pushed back.
If it came to it, you would lie for her.
No, I would not. I resent that accusation.
It's not an accusation.
It is an accusation.
Yeah, this young lady, we heard about this case, right? This young lady, she, I guess she's charged with second-degree murder, right? Second-degree murder with a knife. She stabbed a young man. The victim, Toby Amseli. I can't say that name. His name is Amseli, right? Charged with in their Miami apartment. She stabbed him. It was like 2022, right? She said it was self-defense. Claimed that he pushed her, including throwing her, I guess, to the floor. Pinned her to the floor, and that she threw a knife at him from a distance about 10 feet. That's her defense. She said, I didn't mean to kill him. She just threw the knife at him, right? This is a 25-year-old influencer, Courtney Taylor, on social media, right? Arrested in Hawaii. She said she threw the knife from a distance of 10 feet. And the medical examiner, of course, said his fatal wound was a stab 3 inches deep downward, which is inconsistent with a thrown knife from 10 feet. Basically, she was right up on top of him when she stabbed him, right? There were additional charges alleging unauthorized access to a computer, wire electronic interception related to his laptop. Prosecutors claimed that her and her parents tried to access Christian's laptop after he died. They tried to access his laptop, meaning maybe he had some money and they were trying to get a hold of his money, right? why would you be trying to access his laptop after that? Because he had money somewhere. Okay. But those charges were apparently more than likely dropped, right? A judge found that the prosecutors violated their attorney-client privilege by seizing texts and messages, emails, and such between her and her attorneys, okay? As a result, the lack of evidence in the hacking computer access case was excluded. But see, here's the thing. She was attacking this man. We have pictures of her attacking the man in the elevator. Here's the elevator picture. This is the elevator picture of her fighting him. That's the night of, right? Look at this shit. She going up against that head. What the hell is going on? What is going on? She's clearly the aggressor. I don't understand. What's going on? You like that? Y'all, is that something y'all do? Is that a relationship thing? She's swinging on him. She said, you won't. She's swinging on him. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see that again. She's swinging. It's a better picture. This is a better one right here. Anyway, the young lady was in court. Okay, she was arrested in Hawaii several days after killing the boy and extradited to Florida. She pleaded not guilty to that, and then she was in court. So she gonna be in court October 10th again. She says this is self-defense. That's disputed because the knife went so deep into him that it couldn't have been self-defense. She had to be right up on him, right? And the fact that they tried to access his laptop, which was the thing. She has a new trial date, December 1st, and she's supposed to appear in court October 10th too. So she filed a motion to dismiss the charges, alleging that prosecutors destroyed the evidence, failed to disclose witnesses, improperly accessed sensitive materials, and hid key items, right? So they want to disqualify the prosecutor's office. They want to move to disqualify the Miami-Dade State Attorney's prosecution office from the case. And they arguing the ethical boundaries that were crossed when privileged materials were viewed or shared. One assistant state's attorney, somebody named Quinlan, I guess he stepped down after the defense discovered he had viewed and shared privileged information. So we don't know what the hell is going on with these people. We don't know what the hell is going on with her thing. All we know is that she can't claim self-defense. Well, she can claim whatever she wants to claim, but that don't mean that they believe you, okay? That don't mean that they believe you because of the knife wound and because of the video, okay? The video says that you were attacking the man, okay? So they're not going to believe. So she goes to court October 10th. Let's see what happens October 10th. Let's see whether she can get what she wants. Them dismissing the charges. Whatever. This is wild. But this is a part of her case, and this is what's happening with her case. She's an OnlyFans model. Let's see. Who knows whether she's going to get out or not. Who knows what's going on. But I know she's presenting a case, and I know these people make mistakes. So if they made a mistake on her case, she may just get lucky and get out. We never know. Yeah, she went crazy. You got crazy. I had to show that one. I had to show that. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. We're going to show one last time. This is wild. One last time. We're going to show this freaking elevator thing. This is wild. She say, she says she ain't, she's a victim. She's a victim. What the hell? Look, she ain't afraid to put her hands on her. Man, she's swinging. That's wild. That's wild. Man. Dang, why do you have to cover this table when I'm driving to work? I'm sorry, I don't know. This is wild. He's swinging on her. She's swinging on him. What the hell is going on? So I'm just trying to figure out, is that y'all relationship? Is that the way the relationship go? I mean, fighting, tugging, punching? Who the hell wants that? Ain't no way. Ain't no way that should be a part of a relationship. That right there, the minute somebody put their hands on you is the minute that you need to get up out of there. Because this is what happens if you get yourself caught up with fooling with young girls, getting into fights, acting crazy on the elevator. So we move to our next lady. Our next lady. Let's see. Hold on, momento. Here she is. Our next lady on the list is with a really weird name. Okay. Her name is Brashaye. Michaela Brashaye or Brashaye. I can't even pronounce all of that. Michaela Brashaye Rylaarsdam. So she's on trial right now, this young lady. She's on trial right now. So what we finna do, we finna check in on what's happening with this young lady. Because apparently these OnlyFans ladies are flipping out. And see, here's the thing. You have to have some kind of deviant work thing anyway. Or a deviant personality anyway. You're working in a business in which you're doing sex work or deviant work. But let's listen.
Right now, we want to turn our attention to California for a preliminary fatal fetish murder case for Michaela Rylaarsdam.
Now, she's accused of second-degree murder for the death of Michael Dale. Investigators say the victim paid Rylaarsdam money to put a bag on his head and then record it for her OnlyFans page. Dale died from the incident. I want to get you into court now for the beginning of this hearing for Rylaarsdam.
Okay, we're here for a preliminary hearing. I did get some media requests. We did have a chambers conference to discuss if anyone had issues with the media requests. It's my understanding this is not an ID case, and therefore there are no objections to the media being present, people.
Correct.
Defense.
It's not an ID case, Your Honor.
Understood, so no objection?
Correct.
Okay, so that's granted, and as I explained, all filming can occur. However, at some point, we're going to play some videos which will not be allowed to be shown on camera. So with that said, are there any other motions we need to attend to before we start calling witnesses?
I move to exclude witnesses and admonish.
That's granted. Make sure you admonish any of your witnesses not to discuss the case while the preliminary hearing is going on. Mr. Cohen, anything else?
Yes, I ask that Ms. Rylaarsdam not be shackled during the course of this hearing, Your Honor. One, the cameras. Two, there's been no showing that she poses a danger.
Now, according to some dummy. No, they didn't put no plastic bag over his head. She put saran wrap over his face. This is what happened. She, the defendant, mother of three. She's a mother of three, OnlyFans model. Jesus. Her name under OnlyFans is called Ashley Sincal. She runs an adult entertainment business with her husband. The victim was a 56-year-old man, Michael Dale. She has a she deals with the fetish of putting plastic bags and all that kind of goo-goo stuff over people's head. And this happened in 2003. In his residence, she went over there and he paid her $11,000 to perform this fetish. He requests to have his head wrapped in saran wrap like a mummy, glue women's boots on his feet, and he had glue to put over his eyes too. What? Wait, what? Wait a minute. Wait. He requests being wrapped in saran wrap, glue women's boots to his feet, and have his eyes glued or glue put over his eyes. Say what? He paid her $11,000 to wrap him in saran wrap and wrap him up in glue and saran wrap. Among other wrapping and bindings, a plastic bag was placed over his head, including the saran wrap with duct tape and tape securing it. His head was reportedly sealed in that way for at least 8 minutes. Wow. There was other duct tape over his mouth, saran wrap tightly wrapped around the neck among the layers. So she filmed this. According to affidavit, she filmed, oh my goodness. She filmed, wait a minute, hold on. According to affidavit, she had a phone with videos that showed him in distress, struggling to breathe with the bindings, the bag, the tape, and everything. Also, that while he was under constraint with the bag and the tape and everything, she was filming and that she used a vibrator. Whoa. She used a vibrator on her? I thought the job was to get him off. And she married. Anyway. She was using a vibrator nearby. After he became unresponsive, she called she paid $11,000. She called 911 after he became unresponsive, and when authorities arrived, she was performing CPR. He was taken to the hospital, declared brain dead, and later removed from life support. Shit. So she is claiming, she denies that she denied that she ever placed a bag over his head. She says it was not a part of what he requested. She claims she had little or no experience with BDSD behavior before. Hold up. Don't give us the bullshit, girl. Don't nobody graduate from, I ain't never did no BDSM, to putting bag and saran wrap over people's head and face. You lying when you say you ain't never did it before. Because I would never do it and I ain't never had no opportunity. Yeah, she was paid. How did they know you did that kind of thing? What do you mean you ain't never did it before? Ain't nobody coming to you and you ain't never did it before. They know you done did it before. She claiming she has had little experience with BDSM fetish behavior before this incident. Okay. Her lawyer argues there was no intent to kill. Obviously, there was no intent to kill, but still, that is what happened. They point to her actions after he became unresponsive. She called 911 and had CPR, and that's evidence she didn't foresee or want a fatal outcome. We got that. We understand that she didn't want to break him off. We understand that. Okay. But the whole point is she did it. She was the person that was in charge of all this, right or wrong. She was the person that was in charge of this goofy stuff. Wasn't nobody else in charge of this. Okay. The legal and medical finding. They ruled the death to be asphyxiation, lack of oxygen to the brain, and the manner of death is homicide. So they labeled it as homicide. So she finna go to jail because they not trying to let her loose. Somebody got to be responsible. The bag was reportedly held over his head for at least 8 minutes, which is relevant to the claim that the danger was prolonged. She been charged with second-degree murder. She pleaded not guilty. She being held in bond. Was his hands free? It did. No. What it said was, hold on. It said he requested included being wrapped in saran wrap like a mummy, glue women's boots onto his feet. Okay. Glue boots onto his feet and have adhesive glue put over his eyes. Among the other wrappings and bindings, a plastic bag was placed over his head with duct tape, saran wrap, and layers of tape securing it. So his head was sealed in the plastic bag. So he couldn't breathe for a couple of minutes. And she's saying, but I didn't have no experience doing this. So if you didn't have no experience doing, I know this is wild, but this shit happens all over the world. This kind of shit happens all over the world. We just don't hear about it. But I was listening to it, looking at it, I was like, what the hell is going on with the world? What you mean? Somebody put you in saran wrap and wrapped you up. And this is all, and she been charged second murder. Her second appearance. Okay, her third appearance. She's in court right now. Okay, consent. The whole point is the legal and ethical things. That did the victim explicitly consent to all the sexual acts, especially those that became fatal with the bag over his head. The prosecution claims there is no evidence he asked for a bag over his head. Foreseeable recklessness. Even if consent was given for certain fetish acts, was it foreseeable that specific way that they carried out tight plastic bag, extended time frame would create a deadly risk? Of course, I would think it would create a deadly risk. Are you nuts? Intent. Second-degree murder generally involves either an intent to cause death or serious harm, or conduct showing a depraved indifference to human life, acting with reckless disregard. Her defense denies intent. Role of it. She was filming, okay? The fact that she was allegedly filming during the act and possibly profiting from OnlyFans may affect how the prosecution argues about her motive, awareness, or control over the situation. That's wild. So they believe she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing.
And the three is a better thing.
Okay, I mean, we're at a preliminary hearing, we're not in front of a jury.
Let's
It's
see.
my understanding that her right arm is free, is that accurate?
It is.
Okay. However, how is she still shackled? Her feet aren't shackled.
I believe that she does have a waist chain on.
Okay. For today's preliminary hearing, since we're not in front of a jury, I don't think that's going to create the bias, and therefore, since her feet and legs are not shackled and her right.
Yeah, freak. That's one of the questions. She had a vibrator. She was one of those freaky people too. Okay. She was one of those freaky people too. She tied him up like a mummy and she had a vibrator. How does somebody being tied up like a mummy, how does that make you get a vibrator? What?
Arm is free and able to write and communicate. As long as she's not uncomfortable, she's going to go ahead and stay.
Yeah, he was mummified. I mean, they should have had some kind of they should have had some kind of timing. You can only do this for 2 minutes at a time or some shit. Not no.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, anything else as your comment?
No.
People?
Nothing, Your Honor.
First witness.
People call Dr. Deborah Berry.
Okay. All right, Dr. Berry, you face me, raise your right hand. You swear under penalty of perjury that any
All right, we're going to come back out. We understand there was an issue finding the witness. I just want to comment. I understand the judge's rulings that the shackles are not going to come off for a preliminary hearing where the jury's not present. I'm still a little surprised.
Yeah, it sounds like he just didn't want to take the time.
Yeah.
She's certainly not one of those types of defendants that one would think
Right.
There would be an issue with her not being shackled in court.
But it's
But
a
I think
security
they're on her waist
concern.
already, and to take them off for a preliminary hearing where there's no prejudice to the jurors or anything.
Yeah.
I think that's where
Yeah,
he was
I
at.
think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to say, this is a crazy, crazy case.
Tell us more.
This is about a couple, 2 people living together, having 3 kids, having a OnlyFans page that's idyllic family life,
Mm-hmm.
but then having a secondary page where there's a sex company where she would rent out strippers,
Mhm.
including herself. And this guy rented her out to do some sort of sadomasochism type stuff that went too far. And she was filming it all for her OnlyFans page. It just really, for me, is another sign of the times.
Which the customer wanted.
Yes.
He wanted the act with the saran wrap over the head, and then wanted it filmed and put on the
Wow.
page. It is a sign
He
of the
wanted
times.
some of it. The state is claiming he didn't want the bag over the head. Never asked for that specifically. And they're saying the whole thing went too far, should have stopped. She didn't stop it.
And
therefore
that's
she's
why they've
guilty.
charged her.
Right.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting case.
So what do y'all think? Put it in the comments. Should she even be there? Should she even be in jail for this particular thing? Did the man ask for it? Why am I going to, why am I in jail if he asked for it? Okay. Why am I going to jail if he asked for it? Right? Hold on.
You've been a deputy medical examiner.
About 3 years.
Can you briefly explain what your duties and responsibilities are?
We don't care about that.
Sure. So it starts with an examination of the body as received, and document signs of medical intervention or scars or identifying body marks or any signs of injury or natural disease. Then we open up the body and do the same thing internally with the organs.
Before you start an autopsy, in cases involving
What's arts and crafts sex?
the police, is there any information that you want to know before you start an autopsy from the police?
Yes, prior to an autopsy, we received an investigator report where they tell us kind of the circumstances surrounding the death, what happened immediately prior to it, whether the person was transported to the hospital, things like that. In a officer involved or police involved death, the same. We want all the information we can.
How about any pre-existing medical conditions?
That's helpful to know, yes.
And why is that important in your analysis?
It's good to put everything in a context, and it also helps us decide if we have to perform any special procedures in the autopsy, for instance, if the decedent has.
I can see that. I can see that convergence. She should have had some kind of zip line. I don't.
Notices, we might want to go to an isolation room.
How about toxicology results? Is that something you also take into consideration?
When we finalize the test certificate, yes.
And during the autopsy process, are blood samples taken for that purpose?
They are, yes.
Does the ME's office have its own toxicology lab, or how does that work?
We do.
Right.
In conducting an autopsy, what is the ultimate goal for you?
To determine the cause and manner of death.
I don't know. It don't say anything about the husband. It don't say nothing.
When conducting an autopsy, can you tell us who is present? Who are the parties involved with you?
So typically at an autopsy, there's the pathologist, autopsy technicians, we call them forensic autopsy specialists, who help with the procedures and manual performance of the autopsy. We might have law enforcement officers present in cases where there is a concern for foul play. Sometimes the deputy district attorney is present.
What is a witnessing pathologist?
So
Okay, he said the husband's name is Brandon. Must be some kind of white guy. That's a weird last name. They have 3 children together. Together, her and Brandon run a business called SinCal Entertainment that offers adult party entertainment, and they advertise strippers, topless bartenders, etc. The affidavit alleges that Brandon benefited financially from the transactions with the victim, Michael Dale. Specifically, she and her husband did in fact get at least $1,000 more from Dale while she was in Dale's home, and her husband encouraged her to continue getting more from Dale by engaging in that fetish behavior. Oh, the husband right along with her. So the husband is not accused of being present at the scene, at least not according to the public information, but he is alleged to have had a role in encouraging the continuation of the fetish activity for financial gain.
at this office, in cases of a homicide, we have a witnessing pathologist in the event that the pathologist performing the autopsy can't attend court.
And during the autopsy process, what is the witnessing pathologist's role?
Essentially just to be present in the room, maybe look over at the findings. It depends on how involved I want to be. I'm going to review the report at the end of today, so.
I want to talk to you about your role in this case.
Mhm.
Were you assigned to be the witnessing pathologist in ME case?
What didn't happen, Freak?
2023-01316 with a patient by the name of Michael Dale?
Yes.
And was the date of examination April 22nd of 2023?
Yes.
Who was the pathologist actually conducting the autopsy that day?
That was Dr. Bethany Shaver.
And could you spell that for the record, please?
BETHANNSCHAVER.
Why you say that? Because I'm reading some documents and it's saying whatever I just said, that's what it said. I didn't make that shit up.
Now, as the witnessing pathologist for the case, can you sort of walk us through how the autopsy occurred with Dr. Shaver here?
Yes, so I imagine she did exactly what we always do. She doesn't have too much variability there. So she documents all of the medical interventions. She removes that medical debris, things like IV catheters. Then she documents things like identifying body marks or injuries, and the autopsy is performed.
Okay. As a witnessing pathologist, you mentioned before that you routinely obtain.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Why wouldn't you think as a human being that 8 minutes in, after somebody puts a plastic bag over your face and mouth and the whole 9 where you don't get no air, why wouldn't you think, or why wouldn't you know that 8 minutes is enough to do damage to a person? Why wouldn't you know that? I mean, how long can a person hold their breath?
Information from the police department. Was that done in this case as well?
Yes, the detective was at the autopsy, and Dr. Shaver, I'm sure, discussed the case with him.
And as a part of that discussion, were you shown a series of videos from the defendant or the suspect's cell phone as well?
Prior to Dr. Shaver finalizing the case, I did view videos, yes.
Can you explain to us what a neuropathology consultation is?
Sure. So when the brain is removed at autopsy, it's fresh, so it's kind of soft and hard to evaluate. In your pathology consult is when we put the brain in form.
Most human beings can only hold air for about a minute and a half. That's as long as most untrained human beings can hold air. That's wild. Yeah. And she did it for 8 minutes.
Formalin, let it fix for about 2 weeks or more, and then someone who has a fellowship is board certified in neuropathology examines it for in a more detailed way.
Okay. And can you explain for us in what sorts of cases are you looking to get that extra consultation for the brain?
That really depends on the pathologist. I would do it for a seizure case for sure, or sometimes in a homicide, it's just nice to have another set of eyes to confirm that there's nothing, no surprises.
And would that consultation, would it essentially reveal more information about the state of the brain?
It could.
Now, her case is centered around asphyxiation, breathing control. Why that man didn't know he couldn't control his breath like that? That's combined with the bondage and the crazy encasement fetish. Wow, what does that do? That turns you on like wrapping somebody in plastic, duct tape, or similar materials called mummification in BDSM. The appeal is usually about total restraint, immobility, and the psychological intensity of being completely confined. Why didn't they put somebody in a goddamn casket then? Why didn't you put a motherfucker in a casket? That would have did the same thing. That would have gave you the feeling of being mummified. Okay, restricting your breathing also, using hands, rope, whatever, is a part of what's called breath play. If he knew he was doing this and he knew this was his fetish, why didn't he know how to breathe? Or maybe he did. We don't know we don't know whether he knew how to breathe or not. I mean, it enhances the arousal due to intensity, adrenaline, and altered physical sensations. What sensations? It's considered one of the riskiest practices because cutting off oxygen can cause brain damage or death in a few minutes. Woo! That's wild.
How about in cases involving asphyxiation?
It depends on, again, the pathologist, just what their threshold is.
Yeah, well, then she's right. She didn't have no idea what the hell she was doing. Because if she had any idea what the hell she was doing, she never would have did that. You know, give him a little bit of air. God damn.
Was a neuropathology consultation sought and obtained in this case as well?
Yes.
All right. So was Dr. Shaver ultimately able to make some findings based on her examination and autopsy process?
Yes.
Ultimately, did you agree with Dr. Shaver's findings based on your review of the case?
Yes.
Let's talk about those findings, starting with the cause of death. What was the cause of death here?
Sure. The cause of death was complications of anoxic ischemic encephalopathy due to resuscitated cardiopulmonary arrest, due to asphyxia, due to plastic bags secured over nose and mouth.
Can you break that down for us just in plain English?
Essentially, there was a lack of oxygen to the brain because of the plastic wrapping around the head, leading to fatal injury.
Okay, Black America.
How about the manner of death?
Homicide.
Doctor, we talked about earlier about...
See, she automatically came out there and said this was homicide. She automatically came out there and said it was homicide. Do they do that? Well, it's because you died at the hands of somebody else's death. I mean, you died at the hands of somebody else. That's why they call it homicide, right? I get all that. But there's extenuating circumstances. Does anybody believe she should go to prison for the rest of her life? But then ignorance is not a defense. Because you should have known he could only breathe for 2 minutes or less.
Pre-existing medical conditions and health complications. In the report, it notes some pre-existing health complications. How was it that you're able to rule those out as a potential cause of death?
So that's part of what the whole autopsy is intended to do. We see something like a myocardial infarct suggest a heart attack, that might change how we interpret everything. But ultimately, especially in the case of asphyxia, it's akin to a gunshot wound where it's an isolated event. The person might have a bunch of chronic disease as well, but that event is what really caused the death.
Last couple of questions for you. There were also some toxicology findings, specifically blood alcohol content 0.308 and some trazodone on board as well. Again, how are you able to rule those out as a potential causal factor?
Yeah, exactly the same as with the natural disease, where we have this isolated occurrence, this event where the decedent was responsive and went unresponsive during this event. So regardless of what the toxicology shows, this was the inciting incident that led to the death.
Wow. So you said this is not common. You said this is common. Bondage and restraint are common in the BDS community. Survey shows about 25 to 35% of people who practice that tried some form of bondage or mummification. Whoa. Breath play, though much less common, still appears in BDSM research. Around 5 to 10% of people in kink communities report engaging in that. Mainstream sexual behavior, erotic asphyxiation, is very rare, usually under 1 to 2%. Finchdom, Findom. Findom is a niche, but visible online. Less common than bondage or pain play, but with a growing presence that's online. That's wild. This shit is online? People doing this online in front of the camera?
Thank you, doctor. I have no further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
All right, so according to the medical examiner, cause of death, asphyxia because of that plastic bag over the head. There were some other possibilities, but she kind of ruled them out. We'll have more from the medical examiner. In fact, we'll have our cross-examination when we return.
Paid encounter in April of 2023.
All right, let's get you back into court now for the cross-examination of the deputy medical examiner, Deborah Berry.
Doctor, now manner of death, homicide.
Right.
What does it mean, homicide?
In forensic medicine, it means the death was caused by another person or the actions of another person.
Does that have to be intentional?
No.
What are other manners of death?
No, they're not saying that she intended to do that, but most people can't hold their breath beyond a minute and a half. If they can't hold their breath beyond a minute and a half, then you're going to have people who die because of this kind of thing. And most people need to know you cannot hold your breath beyond that some very trained experts can hold their breath beyond 1.5 minutes, but most of us can't hold our breath. We out of there. She had that bag over old boy's head for 8 minutes, filming it.
Natural, accident, suicide, and undetermined in the state.
And you determined not to classify this as accidental.
Correct.
And that was in part because of the history that you received based upon what the officers had told you and what they showed you, correct?
Yes.
Did you examine the plastic bag?
I don't believe we did, no.
Were you aware that the plastic bag had numerous perforations?
No.
What happened was this man called a lady over who has a business and she's a dominatrix or something to that effect. He called her over, wanted the mummification special, where he gets wrapped in saran wrap and everything else and duct taped and all that, right? And the dude had the plastic saran wrap around his face and head, and he died of asphyxiation. She was filming it for her OnlyFans. She has a business, so she was filming it, and the man requested it. They got texts and emails saying that's what he wanted her to do, but according to them, she put an extra bag over his head. Yeah, she put an extra bag over his head, And by putting the extra bag over his head, she actually killed him with the extra bag over his head. Yeah, this is some kind of breathing and mummification thing, wrapping him all in saran wrap and then duct taping his head closed and gluing his eyes closed and gluing boots on his feet. Crazy. And she went too far. And she had a husband with 3 kids. It was a business. It's an OnlyFans business. It was doing some goofy shit. Well, what do you mean that's not what happened? That's what happened. That's according to the records.
Now, you indicated that, well, at the time, Dr. Shaver, she said that the probable cause of death was asphyxiation, but that she wanted to do a toxicology screening, correct?
Yes, I believe that was the case.
And the toxicology screening was done, correct?
Yes.
And alcohol at a certain level, blood alcohol level, can be fatal, correct?
Yes.
It can cause respiratory failure, correct?
Yes.
Now,
yes.
Toxicology result came back at the time that he was tested. He had Mr. Dale had a 0.33 blood alcohol level, correct?
In the hospital, yes.
In the hospital, correct?
Yes.
So you're familiar as a doctor with generally how alcohol works in the system, correct?
Yeah.
When you start ingesting it, it goes in, your alcohol level spikes, and then at some point you start eliminating it, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So is it fair to say that if Mr. Dale had not consumed any alcohol from the time that he went in, that he became unresponsive to the time that he went to the hospital, that his alcohol level may have been higher at the time that the incident happened?
Sure.
It might have been higher than 0.33.
Absolutely.
And typically for most people, 0.40 is considered to be a near fatal or fatal level of alcohol, correct?
Yes, that's a correct guideline.
Now, alcohol is a depressant, correct?
Yes.
And that's what suppresses the fact that you're breathing, correct? It's the depressant acting.
Yes.
He also had trazodone in his system, correct?
Yes.
He had, was it 0.13 nanograms of trazodone?
I think it was 0.17 milligrams per liter.
0.17 milligrams. Now that's a therapeutic level, correct?
I think it's actually subtherapeutic, but yeah.
Are they online? The whole point is, are they online? Don't they have safe words? Why wouldn't he know if he practiced this? This man practiced this. Why didn't this man know the dangers of going past 1 minute, 2 minutes of cutting off his breathing? Why didn't he know? And as she was a BDSM person, why didn't she know that you can't go past 1.5 minutes for breathing? Why didn't she know? That's something that she should have researched. Ignorance does not help her in this case at all. Most people cannot breathe past that 1.5 minutes.
But it's a depressant as well, correct?
Yes.
And that can have a reaction with alcohol, enhancing alcohol's.
Hell yeah, they know now. I know now, and I wasn't even trying to understand what was going on. If you cut off my breathing for a 1.5 minutes, something terrible is gonna happen down the pike. She cut his breathing off for 8 minutes. She wrapped him in saran wrap, wrapped his whole body in saran wrap, and then duct taped his. Before she did all that, she duct taped his mouth inside of the saran wrap. Duct taped the mouth, wrapped the tape around him, wrapped the saran wrap around him. Then duct taped his neck again. Yeah, that's a black girl. She mixed. She had black. And then the plastic, then I guess she must have put another bag over his head. Some wild shit. Like, why didn't they have a zip line up in that motherfucker? Like some kind of zip line at the side. After every, maybe the head should have been the last thing to be wrapped up and by itself. I don't know. Just goofy shit. People doing goofy shit out here. There's clubs online for this. There's clubs online that deal with that, brain restriction or that air restriction. This is wild.
That's correct.
Yes.
So the two together could cause a person's respiratory to be suppressed, correct?
They could have a synergistic effect, yes.
Now, he also had diabetes, did he not?
Yes,
And he had hypertension, did he not?
correct.
Damn, he must have been a big man. He must have been a fat man. Who knows? He had diabetes and hypertension. He had all that doing all this weird shit. How you have all this going on and you doing this weird shit? Hypertension, blood pressure, diabetes, all this shit. Because they said she put a plastic bag over his head, LaToya, on extra bag over his head. That's what they said. They put an extra bag over his head.
He had hepatitis.
Alcoholic hepatitis, yes.
And all of those conditions combined, those could contribute to the fact that asphyxiation comes on quicker, correct?
They could, yes.
In other words, you'd have less of a reserve of oxygen than a normal person, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So somebody could actually, to an observer, become asphyxiated quicker than what they were expecting, correct?
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Have you seen other bondage cases which resulted in death?
I can't recall. I don't think so.
Nothing further.
Any redirect? No, thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes. Yes.
All right, thank you for your time. Sorry for the delay.
Still with us, former Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé. Philip, I have to ask you this. Knowing that asphyxiation is the cause of death, homicide the manner, if in fact there was no consent, nothing in writing from this now deceased victim saying, please put the saran wrap, the bag over my head, does that mean there's a conviction? How do you get out of that on second degree when it can be a reckless disregard for human life?
Well, first of all, when you're engaging in fetishistic, kinky sex, it's not necessarily something that you articulate.
Oh, no, let me
You
see.
don't voice it to each other like, hey, do you want to put some shrink wrap over my head? Do you want to mummify me? And let's do some kinky sex play. No, you just do it. And as you're doing it, you can circumstantially infer the consent that this is sort of like the mutual assent,
This just happened in February,
if you will, of both parties. And if I'm not mistaken, this is something that she did on a regular basis and then he paid to have done. This is sort of like a weird extracurricular activity on his part. I will say, to be fair to Michaela, though, that this is overfiled. Under California law, this should be nothing more than an involuntary manslaughter. And what that means is that it's an unintentional killing caused by criminal negligence. And the complete legal victory for her would be that this only carries 4 years. And I would be surprised that if the jury comes back on a second-degree reckless murder type implied malice theory, where you engage in a reckless act just in deliberate disregard for human life. And I don't think that's what happened here. I think instead she engaged in a criminally negligent act by not exercising due caution with complete circumspection. And that's ultimately what ended his life. But you can infer the consent by how they interacted and how they landed in bed together.
But Philip, here's the deal, and I think this is what might have led, I think it's probably what led to the second-degree murder charge. During the filming of this, her husband is watching. He asks her, is he still breathing? While she is performing for her OnlyFans page. It's not till she finishes performing that she realized something is wrong and calls 911. I think that little performance part is the part where they say reckless disregard. I got about 30 seconds, Philip.
Absolutely. If that comes into evidence and she is in deliberate disregard of human life, knowing good and well he can't breathe, under California law, that is a second-degree murder. Now, on the other hand, if it just truly rises to the level of criminal negligence, mean that she didn't exercise due care, she can get an invol, 4-year top.
Okay. Her husband was there. Somebody asked about where was her husband. Her husband was there. So her husband was watching her perform this. Her husband was right there with her, watching her perform whatever she was performing. So performing. So what the hell? Her husband was. Wait a minute. They just said that her husband asked her, was the man breathing? Her husband asked her, was the man breathing? Now, if he was on the phone, I mean, maybe he asked that question just to be asking it, but how do we know that he didn't see or he wasn't watching? I'm assuming that he had to be watching at some point, or she had some kind of OnlyFans. She had a film. She was filming and he was watching it, or he was producing it as she was doing it, or I don't know why he would have asked that question unless he was right there. Yeah, she was live streaming this. This is wild. She was live streaming the man and his death, so it's on camera somewhere.
All right. Thank you so much, Philip Dubé, as always, for joining us today.
All right, folks, we'll have more from the hearing for the fatal fetish.
Yeah, her and her husband have
murder
a
case for Michaela Rylaarsdam coming up next. Keep it here on Court TV.
Oh, okay. So her husband, she got white boy. I knew it was one of them Dutch Danish folks. Oh hell no! I don't want the video. I don't want to see nobody getting broke off. You know, I knew it had to be. It was some kind. Yeah, she was from there. Probably speak. Yeah, she probably Dutch or French. No, Dutch or something like that. Looked like a Dutch name. Yeah, there you go. They got all these damn kids.
Came to the house you were living at the time. Do you remember what I'm referring to?
Yes.
That OnlyFans will get people sucked into doing some bullshit. The OnlyFans will suck people in to do some bullshit.
At that time, were you living at 685 Terrace Avenue, City of Escondido, County of San Diego?
Yes.
Can you describe for us, sir, is this a house, apartment, a condo?
It's a house.
Single story?
Single story. 5-bedroom. 2-bath.
Are we in a residential area?
Yeah. We're in a neighborhood.
Can you describe for us just briefly sort of the layout of the house? You walk in the front door.
You walk into the front door. To your right is the kitchen. You go a couple more feet and there's the hallway to the 1, 2, 3 bedrooms.
Wow.
And then there's, to your right, like I said, this kitchen, living room, another room, and then the corridor to the garage.
So back on April 17th of 2023, who was all living at this home?
At this time, me, there's a roommate named Helen, a roommate named Cindy, and we had another roommate, a male, gosh, I can't remember what his name was, and then Michael Dale.
Okay. So Michael, another male, you, and then
2 females.
2 females. Did everyone have their own room? Were there shared rooms?
Everybody had their own room.
Okay.
We had one shared bathroom between the 3, other than the master bedroom.
I want to talk to you now about.
I think some of y'all need to go back to that.
So this incident, we're talking about April 17th of 2023. About how long had Michael Dale been living there up to this incident?
He'd only been there about 5 days, maybe about a week.
Throughout the 5 days, maybe a week that he had been there, had you had many interactions with Mr. Dale?
No, I only talked to him about twice when I saw him in the kitchen. It was a, hey, how are you doing?
It wasn't 3. It wasn't his couple. This couple didn't live with. He's talking about. This man is talking about living with the victim. The victim, it was 5 of them living in a 5-bedroom house. The victim and him. This ain't the lady. This ain't the perpetrator. He's describing who he lived with. The 5 people that he lived with. Which just goes to show you motherfuckers need to live with people because we can't afford to live alone. Shit is expensive.
Type of thing. I asked him if he needed anything because he had just moved in. But in those 5 days, I only basically saw him twice.
So Mr. Dale's bedroom, right? So you walk in the front door. How do you get to his bedroom?
You walk through the front door, you go a couple feet to the hallway, and then his room is all the way at the end of the hallway.
And where is that in relation to where your bedroom was at?
Okay, so she went over to a house that had 5 bedrooms. Wherever she went had 5 bedrooms. This is wild. She went over there, wrapped his ass up. Nobody heard nothing. Nobody thought nothing, but they knew he'd like to be wrapped up. Apparently they knew that.
It's completely on the other side of the house. My bedroom's in the garage. So complete opposite sides of the house.
So I want to talk to you now about that day, April 17th, 2023.
He had only lived with him for 5 days. Lived in that house for 5 days. Oh, wait a minute, what happened? Let's see.
Do you remember seeing Mr. Dale that day?
That day like I said, I was in my garden.
What was a dungeon? The house had a dungeon? Wait a minute, whoa. The house had a dungeon and they were doing this in the dungeon?
Opened his window or came out the slider door, I can't remember, and said that he was going to have a friend over from a certain time to a certain time. And then that was it for the day.
You said you were out in the garden?
Yeah.
Do you remember about what time of day it was?
This is the victim's roommate. The victim lived in a house with 5 people. The victim told this guy that he was having a guest come over. She was the guest that came over. And apparently there was a dungeon in the house. A dungeon in the house. Wow.
It was probably pretty early. I'd probably say about 10:30 or 11, maybe. I'm not too sure exactly what time that was.
That's okay. So the day goes on. Did you see Mr. Dale again?
I didn't see Mr. Dale again until the whole incident happened.
So you see him when you're out in the garden earlier. Do you remember what happened between the time where you're in your garden and the next time you saw him after the incident? Like, were you at the house?
I was at the house, but I suffer from chronic pain and I'm a cancer survivor. So a lot of times if I do anything, I'll be down for hours. So after I saw him, I didn't see him again, like I said, until the incident. I pretty much was in my room up until that point. I did make dinner around 3:30 in the afternoon, but I didn't see anybody at that time.
Right.
I rarely see the other roommates unless, they need something from me or they're doing laundry or they're in the kitchen with me or something, but
okay.
That was the only time.
Can you describe for us how it was that you became aware of the incident?
I came in to get dessert and I heard some commotion. I put my dessert back and then was proceeding back to my room to call my sister because I was like, what's going on? I got a text from one of the roommates saying all this
Objection, hearsay, overruled, effect on listener. Next question.
So you mentioned the commotion. Could you tell from where the commotion was coming from?
Yeah, I could tell it was coming from Michael's room because there was only 3 of us home at the time. Helen, Michael, and me. All the other roommates were either at work or gone.
You also mentioned you texted your sister. How does your sister fit into this house?
My sister owns the house. She's basically the landlord.
Okay. And you you texted your sister.
I called my sister, sorry.
Apologies. You
Yeah,
called your
sorry.
sister. What was sort of the purpose of the phone call to your sister?
I was calling my sister because Michael had brought home a female and stuff was going on that we don't really allow kind of in the house. We don't have overnight guests. We try to be respectful, but it sounded like, stuff was going on that shouldn't be going on. And I mean, to each his own, but you got roommates.
Could you be more specific?
Okay, so why you got to call your sister? You went to call your sister because you were nosy. You saw a black girl go into the room. You knew it was going to be some freaky stuff going on. So you called your sister. Why you call your sister? Why you call your sister, bro? Nosy, hating ass boy. That's what it was.
What was going on? What wasn't allowed in the house?
Well, the overnights, but he brought home, I don't know how you want me to say.
Just use your own word.
Prostitute hooker or whatever. And gotta go get a hotel for that. You move in 5 days and this is what's going on. I've gotten a text from the other.
Okay. So old boy had just moved in and he ain't been there. He ain't been there a good week and he inviting prostitutes over, doing wild shit, knowing full well that ain't a part of the house. It's 5-bedroom. How you gonna keep quiet up in 5-bedroom? You inviting a prostitute over. Why you don't go to a hotel and do what you got to do with a prostitute? Why you bringing her here to the house where you live? Shitting where you eat. That's what he's saying. Well, okay. Now we got it. Okay. Motherfucker, what's going on? That's all we do is sleep here. We ain't doing no sex, nothing here. That's what he's saying.
The roommate, she said was all the noise was going on and she was scared.
So other than you, Mr. Dale, and his guest, who else was home at this point in time?
Helen, the other roommate.
Your other roommate?
Yeah.
Is this the one you were
hating ass. You know what the hell I was finna say.
Texting with?
Yeah, she had sent me the text, telling me that all kinds of things.
So you're sensing this commotion coming from Mr. Dale's room. You mentioned you put your dessert away.
Right.
What do you remember next?
I remember next was Helen coming out to the garage, saying that objection, hearsay.
Overruled. Effect on listener, you can continue.
Coming out saying that the girl needed help. So I came into the house and walked towards Michael Dale's room with Helen and the girl. And that's when I saw Mr. Dale and
showing all his ass, right? You just move in for 5 days and you got breaking the rules already. You got females coming in and out the door.
I said, you guys we need to call 911. So one of the girls, I'm not too sure who dialed 911. We got the 911 operator on the phone. And
yeah, that's right, LaToya.
We said that, he wasn't breathing, so he was like, you guys start CPR. The girls looked at me to do it, but in my physical, I wouldn't have been able to do it. We would have had 2 ambulances coming. The girl started CPR. When I saw the situation, the CPR was started, I went to the front door and opened it up for the ambulance or police officers that were going to be coming.
Okay. You're mentioning the girl. Are you talking about Helen or the female guest?
Oh, female guest. Sorry.
That same female guest that you're describing, do you also see here in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
For the record, can you please describe where she's seated and what color shirt she's wearing?
I think it was red or pink, and it was a
I'm sorry, today. Where is she today?
Oh, sorry, she's sitting over there. She has a gray sweatshirt on.
The witness has identified the defendant. Thank you.
So this was a couple who had an entertainment. So the wife was being exploited. Either she wasn't being. To a certain extent, I guess she was, because she has to have permission from her husband in order to do this bullshit, right? And he was in on it, so she had his permission. So he was already out there in symptom. He was already out there on the limb, letting his wife fuck other dudes, letting his wife do this kind of stuff to other dudes. They had an entertainment business. I get all of that. But why is that particular entertainment business? You have to have a lack of moral character somewhere in order to do something like that. And this man, who was your husband, allowed you to do this kind of stuff. Allowed you to be in on this kind of stuff.
So, to back up a little bit, the commotion you hear, are you talking about noises, voices, music?
I heard noises.
That's why I said maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. We don't know. You don't know whether she was. I'm assuming that she wasn't, but that don't mean she was. That don't mean she wasn't. I'm assuming she wasn't, but that don't mean she wasn't. There's all kinds of situations out here where motherfuckers will whoop your ass if you don't do shit. So I'm saying it doesn't appear that she was doing it.
And voices.
Could you tell whose voice it was?
Michael Dale. You want me to say what I heard?
Well, so let me ask you another question. You hear Michael Dale's voice. Could you describe for us, are you able to tell if he's calm, if he's panicked, if he's something else?
I couldn't really tell, because like I said, the door is closed and I'm probably 30 feet, 25, 30 feet from his room. I could just hear him say, can we stop? I'll pay you a certain amount more money to stop. And that's when I realized that it wasn't a friend, it was a prostitute or whatever you want to say.
So you hear Mr. Dale say this comment. Are you in the kitchen at that point?
Basically in the kitchen.
LaToya, I wouldn't have been no damn good, okay? I'd have been like, what the fuck is going on here? Let me get the hell on. That'd been the first day. Let me get the hell on out of this house. Now, this man is saying he heard old boy say, can I pay you to stop? What does that mean? If he was wrapped up with his face was wrapped up and everything, what was he saying? Do you want me to pay you to stop?
And so after that, is that when
I've been like, what the hell is going on in here? Y'all get the hell up on out of here right now. That's what I would have said.
You go back to the garage.
Take your damn money. You can't live here. I would have been like, take your damn money. You can't live here, bro. I'm sorry. You can't live here.
That's when I went back to the garage and called my sister and was trying to decide what we should do, call the police or
get the hell on.
Because, like I said, Helen had texted me at that kind of same time-ish and was hearing noises and was frightened.
Where is Helen in the house when this is going on?
She was in her room, I do believe. Like I said, I wasn't in the house, so I'm not too sure, but I'm sure she was probably in her room because that would be her safest place.
Right.
So you were telling us before about how you leave the garage and you walk toward Mr. Dale's room. Is that right?
You crazy. Freak, you crazy. And they took that money. They was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll take that. Shit, that motherfucker got prostitutes coming in and out of the house every day. Like, what? Oh, hell no.
Did you actually go in and see what was going on in the room?
Yes, I went into Michael Dale's room and
that's how they do it too, ain't it, Freak? They make it so overwhelming that you can't say no.
He was laying on the floor, not breathing, and that's when I was like, we need to call 911. And like I said, I can't remember.
We need to squeeze in a break here. Up next, the roommate testifies about what he saw the defendant doing when the alleged victim was in distress. You don't want to miss it. Stay here with us on your front row seat to justice.
Hold up. What do you mean when the victim was in distress? So this mofo who was on the stand saw old boy with the wrap around him and everything else, and he didn't stop nothing? He didn't, wait a minute. Whoa. What? Didn't y'all just hear what I said? Wait a minute. He had time. He was able to stop this before it happened, and he wait a minute. He walked into the room, saw old boy wrapped up, heard old boy say, "Can I pay you to stop this, that, and the third, or whatever?" And he didn't stop it. He didn't tell her to get the hell on. He didn't say, "We cutting this scene out right now. We ain't doing this." I'm like, I don't understand. If he heard him, if he already was there and old boy something was happening, why didn't he stop it if he was there?
For the continuation of a Fry hearing. Today, in a huge win for the prosecution,
was
the judge
right
allowed
there and he
DNA
heard
evidence obtained
old
through
boy.
advanced techniques into the forthcoming murder trial of Long Island.
Ain't that what y'all heard? Didn't y'all hear him say this victim was in distress and he heard him, but he walked into the room or something. I don't know, but he didn't think to stop it.
Island's suspected Gilgo Beach killer.
And in Wisconsin, a jury has been seated in the kiss and kill murder trial for Samantha Krebs. She's accused of stabbing her boyfriend to death and then kissing him before she fled the apartment. Opening statements just began. We'll be bringing you those as soon as we have made it past the court order delay in airing the trial. All right, we do want to head back to California now for more of the preliminary hearing in the fatal fetish murder case of Michaela Rylaarsdam, the roommate of the alleged victim is still testifying.
Wait a minute. Did he say damn? The word damn? He said damn. Did he say that?
Helen or Michaela. I'm sorry. Michaela, I don't know which one called 911, but once we got them on and they were, given directions for CPR, Michaela started CPR.
You mentioned Mr. Dale was on the ground. Can you tell us, is he laying on his back,
what I
on
heard,
his side?
He was on his back.
What do you remember about his clothing?
He had no shirt on. It looked to be like a pair of sweats. And then from his feet to about his waist was wrapped in saran wrap.
Like clear plastic wrap?
Yeah. And then his hands were above his head, and they were tied up. I can't remember if it was rope or tape.
And to be clear, the witness put his hands above his head, put one hand over the other, as if hands and arms were being suspended over the body. Continue.
And then he was laying there, and that was.
When you saw Mr. Dale in this state, could you tell something was wrong?
Yes. I kind of looked at his eyes and kind of noticed that he wasn't breathing, and that's when I was like, call 911.
All right, so 911's called. Did you stick around and wait for police arrival?
I went out into the kitchen, opened up the front door, kind of hanged out for a second. Well, before that, I took the animals, had a cat in the house, dogs outside. Put them all together. First, and then I walked him back. CPR or not, I'm not too sure because I kind of stayed in the living room at that point.
Above his head, tied together. How about his face or his head? Was there anything covering his face or head when you saw him?
No, not that I recall. I kind of like went in quick, kind of saw him laying there, looked and saw that he wasn't breathing and his eyes kind of looked weird. And that's when I was just like, let's call 911.
If I may have just one moment here. Yeah, take your time. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Mr. Cohen, cross-examination.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So your sister owns the house?
Yeah.
And your bedroom is on the other side of the house?
Yes.
So while you were in your bedroom, you couldn't really hear what was going on?
No.
You didn't know Mr. Dale that well, correct?
No, not at all.
He had a kind of a loud, boisterous voice, correct?
He was kind of both three. Yeah, I mean, I don't know really how I can explain that, but like he, how I'm talking.
Now, at some point you go into the kitchen.
Here with us now to discuss, criminal defense attorney Silva Megardichian. Silva, thank you for joining both of us. We always appreciate you coming on. This is one of those cases that the details and the facts are just so sorted that you think when it gets to a jury, because I think it's going to get past the preliminary hearing phase. And if this case goes before a jury, some are going to be very uncomfortable, no matter what they say during voir dire, listening to the details of the alleged consensual act that the two were engaging in.
Right.
Absolutely. First, Judge Ashley and Michael, I adore you both. You are the dream team. Thank you for having me. Look,
She is the beautiful woman. She's a what, the lady, the lawyer, or the lady, or the lawyer, the lady, or the lawyer, or whoever.
it's secondary to how violent it is when you ignore that someone is struggling. And I think that's the biggest thing that a jury is really going to have to separate in their mind.
Right.
The fact that this guy had some, abnormal fetishes, or I don't want to say abnormal because fetishes themselves are fetishes, right?
Right.
But the fact that he was a man who trusted this woman to do this, but also entrusted her not to kill him. That is indisputable in this case, that the purpose was a sexual fetish fantasy, not to be killed or ignored if he was struggling. And think about it, saran wrap around the head and then tape around that. And according to initial reports, I think he was there for about 8 minutes without air. Any reasonable person has to be responsible and make sure that he's not dying.
Right.
So yeah, just an awful case. But I think the juries are very smart, and lawyers at do voir dire understand. Focus on the facts, focus on the evidence, and not the gore of what they're going to hear.
Right.
Yeah, and quickly here, Silva, it requires an implied malice and a reckless disregard for life. I agree 100% with what you're saying. There's some responsibility here, but we're talking about second-degree murder. Right. I'm not sure you get the implied malice. Now, they might get it from the fact that she was actually filming herself. This death might have occurred on camera, but at the end of the day, do you think they have enough here to get to that level?
I actually do. Look, there's no deliberation in a second-degree murder, but the implied malice, I still say, if you are covering someone's face in saran wrap, on top of that tape, ignore them for more than 6 minutes while you're filming another sex act. I actually think the prosecutors have a really strong case here. And the fact that she was filming everything. So when the officers took her phone, there are firsthand witnesses to what happened to this man struggling. I think the craziness of the ignoring that's going to propel this case.
And I think they just haven't offered her a good enough deal for her to take, because I think they must know
Yes.
the writing's on the wall.
Fair enough. And somebody else, her husband, was watching the video, even asked her, is he still breathing? So even he, from the other side of the video, knew something was going on here.
Yeah.
All right, Silva, stand by. We do need to take a break. When we come back, the roommate going to wrap up his testimony in the preliminary hearing in the fatal fetish murder case in California.
And the judge loses patience with accused murderer
Relocation order.
during a paid encounter. The roommate of the alleged victim is on the standstill under cross-examination by the defense.
Right.
And you're making yourself food, correct?
I was gonna get some ice cream out of the freezer.
Yeah, that's what I believe. I believe they thought, hey, this something new. We can do this. But see, I would have been so afraid and so paranoid. I'd have been right over there. Hey, you can't breathe? No. Every minute, I'd have been over there trying to check and make sure he was okay. But ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Some ice cream. And that's when you heard something that kind of alerted you and kind of set your radar off. Right?
Yeah, that set my radar off, put the ice cream back, and that's when I went out to call my.
Now, you heard something about stopping. You heard something about money. Fair statement?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you really didn't hear exactly what exactly, but it just kind of caught your attention?
It caught my attention that money was involved, and that's when I knew that it wasn't like a normal friend.
Okay, so it was the money that really kind of caught your attention.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, that and it was. We'll stop. Can we stop, or can we stop? I'll pay you X amount of money. That whole sentence caught my attention.
Now he's in the door. He's in his room, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Dale's in his room, correct?
Yeah.
The door is closed, correct?
Yes.
They were playing music in there, correct? Did you hear music in there?
Not that I recall. I kind of heard some noises, and then Michael Dale's voice. So I don't, it could have been TV or music or whatnot, but And
when you called your sister, you were concerned about the fact that there might be some acts of prostitution going on there, correct?
Yes.
At least at that point, you weren't concerned for Mr. Dale's safety, correct?
No, I was more concerned for the roommate Helen, because she was, like I said, she had texted me and was frightened.
And she had the room next door to Mr. Dale.
But see, here's my thing. If he heard what he heard, and the roommate Helen was frightened, why didn't they immediately bang on the door and say, get the hell on? Why didn't they immediately bang on the door and say, get the hell on? If Helen was in the room scared, and he was outside and he heard old boy say, can I pay you to stop? Why the hell didn't y'all tell her, bang on the door and say, get the hell on? I don't understand. What was you doing?
Yes, they have a wall that connects their two rooms.
Now, you didn't see Michaela arrive with Mr. Dale at the residence?
No, I did not.
Did you tell Detective Hand, or Officer Hand, on May 11th, 2003, that you saw them arrive together?
No, I did not.
Now, Michaela, she didn't try and leave, correct? She didn't try and run.
No.
In fact, she gave CPR to Mr. Dale.
Yeah, she started the CPR, and like I said, I don't know if I think the cop took over when he arrived. I'm not too sure. And then the ambulance and a couple more cops, and then they had Michaela come outside and pretty much stand there outside. They asked me, I brought her blanket.
Well, let me ask you this. Michaela, at the time, she seemed to be concerned about Mr. Dale, correct?
Yes.
She was upset about what was happening, correct?
Yes.
And
So concerned because she came out asking for for help from Helen, and then Helen asked me, and that's when I came here.
So she came out, she said, he needs help, call 911 or something to that effect.
I'm not too sure, I wasn't in that, because this is what she said to Helen. Helen came to me, we need help. That's when I came in the house. And we all proceeded to the bedroom.
And Michaela, she waited around until the police got there as well, correct?
Yes, she never left. Like I said, the only time I think that she had come out of the bedroom, because I think the first police officer took over CPR from her, and then the other cop had her, I think he had her go out front. I think she was pretty much out front from after the second police officer, I do believe, got there.
Thank you. Now, when the officers arrived on scene, you talked with them briefly when they came, correct?
Real briefly, they kind of like, where, and I'm like, show them where to go.
Did you tell them a little bit about what happened?
No, I didn't talk to anybody about what happened until the detectives got there, I believe.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Any redirect? No, thank you. Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next one.
We need to take a break here. Up next, we hear from one of the first officers who responded to the scene. Keep it here on Court TV Live.
See, they messed up all around, her and her husband. Her husband said she's okay. But what she did was she kept doing what she wanted to do even after her husband said, hey, is something wrong with old boy? Is something going on with old boy? He don't look like he breathing. And so she continued to film and do her thing. So the death might be on a camera. That's crazy. That's crazy. And she don't deserve to go to prison forever. We don't, and I understand he asked for everything. I understand that he asked to get this. He asked to have this happen. I get it completely. That's their defense. He asked for all of that. Okay? She charged with second-degree murder in California in connection with his death. Fetish. My question is, why didn't the roommate stop it when the roommate heard his voice in distress? Why did the other roommate go to her room? Because she was afraid. Afraid of what? Y'all was afraid of a little bitty itty black woman in a room? She pleaded not guilty to the charge. Second-degree murder means the prosecutors believe her actions caused the death of Michael. There was malice afterthought, afterthought. Not necessarily premeditation, right? That's more of what it has to be a part of first-degree murder, but an intent to do something dangerous or acting with a conscious disregard for his life. Okay, that's what malice after a forethought. Okay, that's where she's at. Okay, and the case alleges that she wrapped his head in a plastic bag, plastic tape, bound him up, and made bindings that prevented him from breathing, resulting in asphyxiation. But my thing is, why was he saying, can I pay you to stop? And old boy heard him. So why didn't old boy intervene when he heard that? Okay, obviously the man didn't want to. I would have opened the door and say, you okay, man? You okay? Everything okay up in this motherfucker? I would have said something. Okay, I would have opened up the door and saw that plastic, and I've been like, it's some wild shit up here, and I'm finna call the police. But I would have opened up the door and said something. So the police contended he wasn't able to remove the restraints, so therefore he couldn't. He was just gonna get broke off. So if she convicted of this second-degree murder in California, I think it's like 15 years. She get 15-year minimum. I don't know whether it's minimum 15 years of life. Yeah, 15 years of life. Okay. They know that they can't prove the second degree. So they trying to stall her out to a lesser charge. Okay, there could be enhancements, aggravated factors, The fact that she didn't, when her husband said, "Is he breathing?" she kept doing it. She kept filming. She had a vibrator in there. Okay, it depends on the case, I guess. And prior convictions, is she a dangerous to the community? I mean, it's all kinds of things they gotta ask about. Okay, put aside the fact that there's prison time, right? Loss of certain her voting rights, all kinds of things that happen, to these people once this happens, right? Well, while not exactly what she faces, the legal ramifications could be she could argue that she did not intend to kill old boy, and she believed that she was following the request of old boy. Okay, even though she lacks the knowledge and the foresight and all of that to be able to do this particular job, ignorance does not absolve you for what you did. Obviously, they don't see. Here's the thing: you know how Diddy was overcharged? She is overcharged in this. Okay, she is overcharged, but this is the death of somebody, and people always in their feelings when it comes to the death of people. Just like yesterday and all day this week, everybody been in their feelings about Charlie Kirk. They've been in the feelings about this man. He's the best thing since sliced bread. He the best thing since yogurt and ice cream. He the best. And then on the other side, you got, I can't stand him. Right? So people in their feelings about people when they die. So now we got reasonable doubt in there. She did not deliberately set out for that man to be dead that day. So we got questions of whether she had total consent, the intoxication status. Apparently you didn't know that. Video evidence, what happened on the camera. Did you know he wasn't breathing and you kept doing it for the camera? Timing, there's all kinds of things that go into play as to why they charged her. Okay? So we gonna keep our eye out for this damn case, because she's a dominatrix. We gonna keep an eye out for this case and see where the hell this case goes, because this is some goofy shit. Because there ain't no reason for this man to be gone, because he had opportunity. People had opportunities to stop this man. There was opportunities for this to be stopped. Okay? There was opportunities for this to be stopped. The roommate had an opportunity. The other roommate had an opportunity. Was her vibe electric or battery power? Oh, hell no. I don't know. It just said that she had a vibrator. Okay. So nobody wanted to call the police and get anybody in trouble. I get all of that. But now we got somebody that's broke off. Okay. Beautiful girl and her husband, I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Now your wife might be doing prison time. Now you got 3 kids you got to take care of. Are you going to get naked in front of the camera to make money on OnlyFans? Yeah, I think that's it too. The court sees it, but it is an act. It is an act that could result in death. Okay, it is an act. He was in a room. He was in a house with 5 people. 5 people, 2 of which were at home when this was happening. 2 of which felt and knew something was wrong, but they did nothing. Okay. Felt and knew something was wrong, but did nothing. So there ain't nothing to be said. Ain't nothing to be said. It just, well, it is what it is. Okay. We all got to live with the consequences of our actions. She has to live with the consequences of hers. So there ain't nothing else to be said between her and the first girl. This girl right here is Michaela, husband, 3 kids, out here making that quick fast money from OnlyFans. She ended up getting broke off. She ended up doing some nasty work and ended up maybe doing some prison time, serious prison time. Then we got this chick right here who didn't know how to control herself. Beating up on a man. She said she threw a knife at him, but she must have been right up on him because the knife was too deep for it to be thrown. And you see she was violent anyway in the elevator. I got to see the result. I got to see the ending of this trial to see whether they treat her like everybody else. You know, you willfully took his life. We could tell that you violent already. We could tell that you prone to beating people up. We could tell because you was whooping his ass in that elevator, throwing straight up haymakers at that head. Boom, boom, boom. Pulling the braids out, doing all that crazy shit. Not to say that you deserve to go to prison, but the propensity for violence is there. And we can see that you love to do violence. So we're going to keep our eye on both of these cases. In December, we probably going to report back, or October 10th is when the next crowd, we're going to report back and see what's going on with these cases. Okay. This was just a preliminary crime story, because it wasn't that serious. It wasn't a primetime crime story, but it was interesting to bring to the forefront because probably nobody knows about this goofy shit, and this shit is online, and they have all kind of BDS kind of things online. I'm not even interested in going over to that sector of the community, because it is a sector, just like the Fight Club is a sector, the news is a sector, the politics is a sector, this BDSM is a sector. I ain't interested in going in there. They ain't got nothing I need. Ain't nothing I need over there in that sector. I don't need no more new thrills. Okay? Don't need no more new thrills. This is crazy. So we gonna see. Let's get an interview with them. Do live. Shit, who the hell they gonna interview with me? Shit, I ain't fucking nobody. But I will see you all later. Thank you for showing up for this little routine, this hour and a half routine, this hour and a half show, just to get this information out. I appreciate you. I'll be back at around 5 o'clock. I got some more Kevin Samuels I got to do. Winter is coming. The Kevin Samuels show at 5 o'clock. Winter is coming.